on Nigeria Info, the correct time. It's 6 o'clock.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
A peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. On the news this evening, Governor Fubara describes planned Port Harcourt Ring Road project as single biggest. Rivers State Commissioner for Transport says free transport scheme meant for all residents. Police arrest officers caught assaulting man in viral video. Army parades 12 suspected oil thieves in Port Harcourt. Senate inaugurates selection and preparation committees. And on the foreign scene, Israeli police clash with protesters over government's controversial judicial reform plans. I am Carl Orakwe with the news. A Rivers State Governor, Similaye Fubara, says his administration will be signing the contract for the construction of what he describes as the single biggest project that will be undertaken by any state in Nigeria. Governor Fubara said this today shortly after inspecting deplorable sections of Digama Street, Harbour Road and Reclamation Road in Old Port Harcourt Township and the ascending section of the bridge connecting Dr. Peter Odili Road to Woji Town. The governor said investors across various sectors are excited and ready for the derivable benefits that will accrue from the projects.
We'll be signing the contract for the construction of one of the biggest single projects in this nation, being handled by a state. Lagos might have done a few, but not in one. It means a lot to us. It's a legacy project. And for those people who don't understand, it's a project that is traversing 5 to 6 local government, and it's going to open places. People are talking about the congestion Port Harcourt. When all these places are opened, people will start moving over to those places. It will tell you the importance of the road.
Speaking about the remedial works on the failed sections of the inspected roads, Governor Fubara assured that permanent solutions are being worked out to ensure that the roads are permanently fixed.
Some section of the roads are really bad, so I really want to see what we can also do to resolve this problem. I really feel it's not just fixing the bad portion of this particular section, but finding a permanent solution to it. That is why I had to come with the commissioner to explain to me so I understand what the problem is. We are going to do something about it immediately. We are not wasting any time.
The governor also inspected ongoing works at the government secondary school Emoa, the failed portion of Rumigbo Road and the Labuchi Road, which will be part of the route for the Port Harcourt Ring Road project. The Commissioner for Transport in Rivers State, Jacobson Mbina, says it is not true that the free transport scheme is only meant for civil servants. Dr. Mbina said this during the flag-off of the 17 buses for the free transport scheme at Waterlines, Port Harcourt. The Commissioner said the scheme is for all residents of the state.
Here we are with 17 luxurious buses ready to flag off for the benefits of Rivers people. This scheme is not for workers alone, it is for entire Rivers, including students, everybody. That is the purpose for this scheme you have brought. This is a clear demonstration that you meant well for Rivers people, and that is why you match your words with action. Thank you, Your Excellency, for making this day a reality.
Earlier, the Deputy Governor, Professor Ngozi Odu, flagged up the scheme on behalf of Governor Fubara. Professor Odu said the free transport scheme is aimed at reducing the financial burden on residents caused by petrol subsidy removal.
The Rivers State government is aware and concerned about the economic challenges faced by the populace as a result of the removal of fuel subsidy. Consequently, this scheme flagged up today is a deliberate intervention by the Rivers State government to mitigate the effect of these economic challenges, and therefore we must treasure it. The governor has charged the operators to be committed in their duties.
A correspondent in Meko Tuka reports that the routes for the luxurious buses are Agri to Slaughter, Mile 3 to Borokri, Education to Rumokoro, Secretariat to Borokri, Mile 1 flyover to Oyigbo.
So I think that is a good thing in terms of effects that the cost has had on movement. I'm sure that many of the people who have to come to work will find this quite some relief. So I don't think you can say that this is and work. In the city, you've got atomic costs that help the economy. You've got more space for businesses to thrive.
His partners in Ivbar to borrow of borrowing is to fund the Port Harcourt Ring Road. Mr. Ehe also explained how the money borrowed will be repaid by the government.
That the repayment plan is through the internally generated revenue, and the sources of the generated revenue are clearly stated. One, we are looking at reforms, statutory reforms from projects embarked by the state, which we are due refund by the federal government. We are also looking at statutory allocation. We are looking at rent and sale of government assets. There is no intention to further burden taxpayers. In fact, the project itself, as I mentioned, is a tax generator.
Other lawmakers who spoke during the plenary agreed with the governor's request to borrow. Shortly after the debate, Speaker of the Assembly, Martin Amewule, read the decision of the House.
I must say that this is about the first bold step from the state governors currently for this huge kind of project coming to us. Distinguished colleagues, the results before us are 4-22 against, nil, abstention, nil. Jacob follows that the 10th Assembly of Rivers State has approved the request of His Excellency Governor on behalf of the Rivers State Executive Council to seek the sum of 200 billion naira for Port Harcourt Ring Road from
Correspondent Sobi Ruari reports that two motions concerning flooding and the removal of manholes were debated on the floor of the House. The House adjourned plenary to next week, Monday. In the meantime, the Chairman Defence for Human Rights and Democracy, Clifford Solomon, has described the approval as a bad omen for Rivers people. Mr. Solomon, who criticised the speedy manner the lawmakers gave the approval, also questioned what the state government is doing to improve the internally generated revenue of the state. He expressed worry that Governor Fubara started his administration with debt.
It's just too much. A state where there are enormous resources but kept borrowing and keeping the state in a perpetual state of servicing debt. Administration of Similaye Fubara to stop borrowing, keeping the state in perpetual debt. What is the River State government doing with the internally generated revenue and the federal government allocation that do come to the state? Some countries are not even borrowing the way River State is borrowing in Nigeria and in the world, and it's not all borrowed well.
The police in Rivers State says it has arrested the police officers caught in a viral video assaulting a man. Commissioner of Police CP Nwoye Emeka, in a statement by the spokesperson of the command, SP Grace Iringe Koko, condemned the action of the police officers and assured the public that the officers will be investigated in line with extant rules of the police force and appropriate actions applied to serve as deterrent to other police personnel. The statement also appealed to the victim to come forward to the Public Relations Department of the command to give his own statement to aid the investigation. The statement, however, assured that the identity of the victim will be protected. The 6th Division of the Nigerian Army has paraded 12 suspects in connection with crude oil theft and 1 suspect for impersonating the Nigerian Army in Rivers State. The garrison commander, Brigadier General Eddie Effiong, during the parade of the suspects at the division headquarters in Port Harcourt, said the suspects were arrested while siphoning crude oil from a pipeline in Ahoda East local government. Brigadier General Effiong said the suspects will be handed over to the police for persecution.
First of all, we'll profile them and then hand them over. We're not the prosecuting agency. We'll hand them over to the prosecuting agency. For oil bunkering activities, I think it's the Nigerian Civil Defense Corps that is actually in charge of that. So after profiling them, getting some information from them, because if you find out the ones you're seeing here are just the foot soldiers, they may have other people that are there that are actually financing whatever they are doing. Just like that boy, they're just 17 years old. So you make them understand that crime does not pay.
Also speaking, the Army Public Relations Officer, 6th Division, Lieutenant Colonel Ikedichi Weha, said one of the suspects, Oke Despond, who was arrested for impersonating the Army, has been arrested for the same offence in 2022.
The suspect revealed that he bought the camouflage uniform at Kotoko Barracks in Kaduna, got the fake pass he has from a cyber cafe printed for him at Control Roundabout in Owerri. Now, it's worthy to note that this suspect had been arrested before this time. He was actually arrested on the 15th of May 2022 for the same offense, and he was consequently handed over to a sister security agent for prosecution.
The Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, has inaugurated the Senate Selection Committee as well as that of Appropriation. Senator Akpabio said the inauguration is in line with the Senate standing rules, which empowers Parliament to, within 14 days after inauguration, set up committees. Still to come, Acting Custom Controller General debunks the opening of all borders. The news continues shortly. As Nigeria joins the World Population Day, stakeholders have been speaking on short link. The renowned communicator Desmond Wilson has called on the government to renew the family planning policy. Professor Wilson said the best way to curtail the growing population is to ensure the campaign for family planning policy is embraced by both religious bodies and secular organizations.
People still focus on family planning. People don't do that anymore. We used to think that that was something common to the uneducated, but educated ones are also still competing with the rural people producing children they cannot cater for. I think it's something that pay more attention to, and government has to start again to re-educate people on those actions. The campaign against uncontrolled production of children.
A World Population Day is celebrated on July 11 every year. The theme for the World Population Day 2023 is Unleashing the Power of Gender Equality, uplifting the voices of women and girls to unlock our world's infinite possibilities. In business news, the Acting Controller General of the Nigeria Customs Service, Wole Adeniyi, says contrary to speculations, President Bola Tinubu has not ordered the reopening of all Nigerian borders. The Customs Controller General gave the clarification after a meeting with President Tinubu today. Mr. Adeniyi said only 5 borders have so far been reopened. In entertainment, Nollywood actor Chinedu Ikedieze, also known as Aki, has appealed to his fans on social media to leave their begging antics on Instagram and not carry them over to the new microblogging app Threads. Sporting news, heavyweight world champion Tyson Fury will face MMA fighter Francis Ngannou on the 28th of October in Saudi Arabia.
And now, we bring you news from around the world.
Israeli police have clashed with protesters amidst huge demonstrations against the government's controversial judicial reform plans. It comes after a bill to remove the power of the Supreme Court to review ministers' decisions passed its first reading in Parliament. And that does it here on the news this evening. But before we go, here's a quick look at the major stories. Earlier on, we told you Governor Fubara has described the Port Harcourt Ring Road project as the single biggest by any state in Nigeria. River State Commissioner for Transport says the free transport scheme is meant for all residents and not civil servants alone. We told you the police have arrested officers caught assaulting a man in a viral video. You heard the Senate has inaugurated selection and appropriation committees. And from the foreign scene, we told you Israeli police have clashed with protesters over the government's controversial judicial reform plans. The news was edited by Onyekachi Musu. Cloudy weather is expected in Port Harcourt this evening. Do remember, peace is the path to the prosperity of the nation. Let peace reign. I am Carl Orakwe. Good evening.